uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. We welcome you to today's show and ask those of you who have not subscribed to please subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to expose the satanic Illuminati agenda and the ushering in of the Antichrist. Today's show, I want to talk about the mysterious death of MMA fighter Kimbo Slice. As most of you probably heard, he mysteriously died at the age of 42 from what they're calling heart failure. And I understand that a lot of people make conspiracy videos every time someone dies, and it's not my intention to ever do that every time someone dies. You know, when Muhammad Ali dies, I'm not just going to make a video saying it was an Illuminati sacrifice. However, there's a few telltale signs to look at if you're going to even discuss the topics of human sacrifice, if you're even going to discuss the topic that the Illuminati or the elitist Satanists are behind it. And those factors are dying young, dying mysteriously, and even more so, dying on specific dates that either fall into their satanic calendar or dates like June 6, 2016, 6616, where you would expect not just rituals to occur underground, but a major ritual to occur. During the Beltane, we saw Prince pass away, we saw the wrestler China pass away, we saw other people pass away, and those were telltale signs because the deaths were mysterious. Prince's death was completely mysterious. Even the answers they've given now are shady answers that, you know, the media throws out there that you can't believe, besides the fact that he was cremated so fast they couldn't even do a proper autopsy. And even Ali's death has some tie-ins to it and some links to it. If you want to look at the numbers, you start with 666, right? 6616, and what it means to Satanists, and how they were performing rituals around the world, including in Los Angeles, where they were doing rituals strategically, geographically lining out the pentagram and performing rituals at these specific spots. But also keep in mind, Ali was a boxer, and Kimbo Slice is a boxer slash MMA fighter. He was also a boxer, and he was best known for street fighting, which was pretty much straight up boxing with no gloves on. That's how he broke in. He became an MMA fighter, but he still was considered a quote-unquote boxer. So that's very similar between the two guys dying within 3 days. However, Ali passed on June 3rd, so the number 3 pops into your head, and then 3 days later, Kimbo Slice dies, which is 33, which is a number you always have to look for. If you're not looking for 666, always look for the number 33, because that is one of the most symbolic numbers to the occult, to Freemasonry, okay, becoming a 33rd degree Freemason, and becoming the highest level in Masonry. Yes, there's levels above that as you get indoctrinated even deeper into Satanism, but 33rd degree Freemasons are indoctrinated already with Satanism and a firm belief in worshiping the beast and also believing in their own minds that they're gods. They also feel 33 has symbology with the fallen angels and 1/3 of the angels. It also has symbology with the death of Jesus Christ at the age of 33. So the number is very important to them. And they operate in numbers. I don't do a lot of videos talking about numbers. There's a lot of people out there who do, who are really, really good at it. That's not really my thing, so to speak. It doesn't mean that I don't believe that it's real. I surely do, because I know how they operate. But on a specific incidents like this with 6616 and then 3 days apart, with Ali's beginning on the 3rd, to me those are very suspicious signs. But there's more that goes into it, because if you look into Kimbo Slice and his career, how he fought, you know, he did this underground street fighting, but he was actually recruited and brought in to be a limousine driver and work under, or I should say for, as a bodyguard as well, Reality Kings, which is one of the top major pornography companies in the world. It's called Reality Kings. He worked directly with them and still did up until his death. Now, why would that be a connection? Well, for starters, Reality Kings, any one of these big porn hubs, and you don't get in the industry of pornography without being initiated. If you were somebody out there who just wanted to start a porno company, you're not going to make it. They won't allow you to make it. They will, and if you do somehow find some bizarre fetish thing that might work, they will come to you and either offer to buy you out or shut you down with some type of legal issue against you. They will put up, okay? all of these companies who are major in the porn industry are all part of the satanic occult. They are all part of it. The owner of that company ended up becoming Kimbo Slice's manager. So there's an affiliation there because you know that this guy is a top high-level Freemason. You know that he's a member of this satanic occult that runs our world. You know that he's at an elitist level because to run a pornography company like Reality Kings, these people are billionaires. They make so much money through doing this perversion. And it's amazing just how much money they make. So his manager was the owner or the guy who created Reality Kings. So there's a connection there with him and these, you know, an elitist circle that he could be now spending his time around and hanging out with. There was an affiliation with Shaquille O'Neal, who was a high-ranking Freemason who openly, he has no problem hiding it. A lot of these guys, they'll hide it. You'll never find out if they were or they weren't. Shaq is openly has photos of himself, you know, graduating or whatever they want to call it when he's going through his levels of Freemasonry. He has the ring. He wears it on national television and shows it off. So him and Kimbo Slice were close to one another. And then there's kind of this bizarre thing with the tattoos. If you look at the tattoos on Kimbo Slice, when he first started fighting, he didn't have any tattoos. Then he ended up with a bunch of tattoos that were almost the same. He has one that's kind of hard to recognize on his arm, which I can't make out. But he has multiple Black Widow spiders on his arm. Now, the Black Widow spider is a satanic symbol. The Black Widow spider is a poisonous, toxic, deadly spider. The fact that he has multiple ones on him could be a sign or a marking from his handler or whoever controls him. It's a very highly likely possibility. Now, I'm not saying that I have 100% proof. I know people make videos and then they'll go over all these facts. I don't do that when I do these videos about potential sacrifices because I can't prove it. And even the people who have better videos with more evidence can't prove it. There's also some photos of him sticking out his tongue. These are strategically taken photos where he is doing the serpent's tongue, sticking out his tongue. So you can see those. He also throws up a lot of bizarre hand symbols, which of course can have a different meaning if you want to believe that. But they have a lot of different ways of flashing hand symbols that have dual meanings and meanings to people inside of their covens or their cults. He does that a lot. But you can see him with his tongue out here doing that on multiple occasions. He's done it, posing in photos, doing it. That is the serpent's tongue. But you have to put the signs together and link it up. I mean, anyone who still believes that Prince wasn't sacrificed after all these bizarre stories came out afterwards, and they still think, he probably isn't even dead. But for all these people who think, oh, how could you trample on his death? It's not about trampling on anyone's death. Half of these people who get sacrificed aren't sacrificed. They're not really killed. Okay, a lot of them are living off in other third world countries, living out their days. They like watching and seeing all of the applause and all of the things that happen when they die, like Steve Jobs. So many stories came out about him after his death of being spotted in so many places, some of which are held underground. I mean, all of this stuff, which sounds insane, is true. So you wouldn't even know if Prince was really dead or not anyway. His body quickly vanishes and they cremate him. All these things linking to his death, and they just constantly have to keep saying he was a drug addict and push stories out there to convince the masses that, he was overdosing on pills. The same can be said with the mysterious death of someone like Kimbo Slice. He mysteriously dies at the age of 42 in phenomenal health. He just won a fight a few months ago, according to what I just read about him. I was reading a bunch of stuff trying to find any connection I could to Masonry. The only connection I really can find is the people he associates himself with. Well, guess what? High-ranking Freemasons don't associate themselves with people who aren't Masons. They don't help people who aren't Masons. And if you look at Kimbo Slice's career, his most famous fight was a fight he lost to somebody. And he got blown up and pushed. I mean, he was on the cover of video games. He was the face of MMA. Bellator, which is a big MMA company, signed him to a big contract. And he became more than just an MMA fighter. I mean, think about these MMA guys or these boxers and stuff. Some of them never become big. He became huge. I mean, massive. Everybody knew who Kimbo Slice was. They were force-feeding him. He was in movies. He was in TV shows. He was featured almost everywhere. Those are things that don't just happen. They won't feature you. If I go out and I have a street fight with 50 people and I knock off 50 people out, the odds of MMA or Bellator or any company calling me because they saw me on YouTube beating people up is 0 to none. Okay, there always has to be an affiliation or a connection. He had this connection with Reality Kings where somebody spoke to somebody, and the next thing you know, he was on television and becoming bigger and bigger. And the media is what makes you a star. Okay, the media is what turns you into a star. There's many, many MMA fighters that are 20-0, 25-0. You would never have heard of them. This guy wasn't even, he was underground, and people followed him, through underground videos that Reality Kings actually started pumping out and producing themselves. But he was underground. And then he became this massive, massive fighter. And the media picked up on him and force-fed you him, which is always a telltale sign of an affiliation to the elitists, to the Freemasonry, because they won't push you on television unless you're a part of it, unless you go along with the agenda. So I'm not saying that I know for a fact this guy sold his soul or what he was involved in. I don't care if after a fight he might have thanked Jesus or said something like that, because all of these people are wolves in sheep's clothing. Okay? All of these people go out there and they thank Jesus. They thank God, even though they're not referring to Jesus when they thank God. This is to deceive people. That is what wolves in sheep's clothing do. They pretend to be a part of one community when they're a part of another. So these are all connections to me that show the Kimbo Slice death is very, very shady. It's very eyebrow-raising. I don't know how anybody else out there feels about it. Feel free to comment on it. I know a lot of people come over and say, how dare you trample on his death? I'm not trampling on the man's death. Okay, pray for his soul. Hopefully he didn't make a deal. Hopefully he wasn't ritually sacrificed and he died a natural death. But these are things that we have to talk about and raise questions about. Because when we see deaths and these things happen on satanic dates in the satanic calendar, or it's specifically 6616, which wasn't just on the satanic calendar, it was specifically numerology-wise, happened to come up this year, and they went out of their way to do rituals around the world, okay? And, link that with the 33, with 3 connected with Ali, and just some other bizarre things and the connections that he has. It makes you raise your eyebrows how somebody could just mysteriously die like that. But people don't look into it. They go, well, what does the article say? Oh, he died of heart failure. Well, it's pretty easy to just say he died of heart failure. They have technology where they can shoot through the air and give people heart attacks. They've had it since the 70s. The CIA has had that type of technology. They can kill you however they want. They don't have to shoot you in the head. Okay? They can kill you by giving you a heart attack, and that is truth. And if you don't believe me, look into it. Okay? The CIA has that power, so they can do whatever they want. So it's a mysterious death. I wanted to just bring it up and talk about it because it's kind of been, I saw it this morning when I woke up, and I know it happened last night. And obviously, having done warning videos, letting everybody out there know about 6616, I was looking and seeing if something would happen. And then when I heard that, I thought it was just a little suspicious with the dates and Ali and the careers. And then I looked into his history, and I felt like there was just a lot of weird coincidences with who he was associated with and his rags to riches story, which is always an Illuminati type story. They want and push the rags to riches because they want people to think they can go from rags to riches when they can't unless they're a part of this secret network. So again, just some ideas. Feel free to comment if you have anything that you might know of, if you know of some tattoos that maybe I didn't see on there that weren't the Black Widow spider, which is a very suspicious tattoo. If you heard anything else, feel free to comment. I'm interested to hear what you guys think about it. I certainly don't think that it's a coincidence, but I won't trample on the guy's death. Prayers go to him and his family, and of course, praying that his soul wasn't already, that it died at peace with Jesus Christ, believing in Jesus Christ, and not on the other side where when you become famous and become rich, they pull your soul, they make you make commitments to Satan, and then these people end up dying, worshiping Satan, having sold their soul and themselves to him and this satanic system. And all you do is pray that he wasn't in that spot. Pray that everybody out there doesn't end up in that spot, because that's the worst thing that could possibly happen to somebody. That is eternal death. That is eternal damnation in hell. You don't wish that upon your worst enemies, because it's not going to be fun. Okay? And I don't want that on anyone. Even these Satanists, I don't wish that on them. So pray that, that his soul was in the right place and that others are. And again, if you have any ideas or any theories regarding his death that you found fascinating or that you might have heard of, or even pictures of him, wearing something that might have been Masonic or associating with people other than, of the few people I mentioned who were high up in Satanism, especially a pornography company, feel free to pass that information along. All right, God bless everybody out there. Thanks so much for listening. Peace be with you.